Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the RK Leadership Podcast, where we empower tomorrow's leaders through the sharing of knowledge, experience, and inspiring stories. I'm your host, Rob Cameronpour, and my very special guest today is Dr. Sangeeta Polley, and she's joining us from India today. Dr. Sangeeta is LinkedIn's top 1% mindfulness voice. She's a dentist turned entrepreneur and founder of Be Powerful. Before I pass it on to you for further introductions, I'd like to thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your stories and your inspirational stories and experiences with the audience today. So again, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rob, for this opportunity. And what a pleasure to be here on your show. And thank you so much for the warm introduction.
Awesome. Thank you. So you ready to get started?
Yeah,
Let's go.
that's
Okay. So why don't we start off if you can walk us through your journey quickly and tell us how you ended up where you are today.
Now that's a great question to start. So I grew up in a vibrant city of Kolkata, which is on the eastern side of the country, India. And I had a very deep desire from a young age to kind of like help others. And that led me to pursue my career in dentistry. And I love my work back then when I started my first profession before switching off my lens to make a tangible difference in kind of my patients' lives. But however, I felt always there's a pull towards, exploring new horizons or challenging myself in new directions. So that curiosity eventually and the drive led me to move abroad. So almost a decade ago, I chose to pursue my MBA back in Germany, and that's how I landed up there. And it was a very bold step back then because I think moving across continents, changing everything in profession and then everything in such a young age was indeed very bold. But looking back, I think it was incredibly fulfilling at the same time. It just pushed me to a very uncomfort zone where I could just unleash a lot of inner potential. So that's a must. I think everyone should try that, get rid of their comfort zone once in their life. For sure, they're not going to regret it ever. However, I think realizing that importance of broadening my further skill set from dentistry to the business world, I decided to kind of mark my entry into the business world with a formal education. That's how I entered into that arena. And now I think looking back after spending a decade working as a sales and marketing professional for almost all kind of verticals for such a long time, I think I discovered the profound benefits of mindfulness right now and also the mental well-being through a very recent spiritual awakening that happened in my personal life. And that shift was really a turning point for me. Kind of experienced that, you know, how important it is to transform not just my personal life, but mindfulness shaped my professional performance as well. So I think I became deeply passionate right now about all these practices that I do and the potential to kind of improve life. So I could just now happily say that I found my calling. And with this newfound passion, I think I dedicated myself to also becoming a voice in mindfulness, like you mentioned on LinkedIn. I'm very grateful for that recognition. And I think that helped me, that kind of challenged me and also motivated me to found Be Powerful, which is also part of a community that now boasts almost 9,000 members. And beside that, I launched a new newsletter on mindfulness this year, the Mindful Minute. That's basically, I focus on, writing about well-being, mental health awareness, mindfulness, fostering definitely a growth mindset. So today, I think I'm happy to say that my mission is to inspire and educate others about the importance of mindfulness and mental health. And I think I believe that with the right tools and mindset, we can all lead very powerful and fulfilling lives. So yeah, thank you today once again to you for giving me this platform to share my story with everyone.
Awesome. No, I think you've got an amazing journey and you've got some Great experience to share with the young professionals out there. So again, today we're gonna focus on some of those topics, including mindfulness, well-being, etc. So why don't we start off with the first part in mindfulness? How do you define mindfulness in the context of leadership?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, to just begin with, I think mindfulness has various aspects. For example, there are different types of mindfulness. If I had to define mindfulness for leadership, I would say it's an interpersonal mindfulness.
Mm.
With that, what I mean is where you basically work on focusing on being fully present as a leader, and then you engage yourself with that mindful awareness in your social interactions. So, given in a workplace, as a leader, if you're focusing much more on your awareness, as in the present moment, and getting in check with your emotional regulation, as well as active listening, I think that would just produce a wonderful leader, a mindful leader who can not only enhance the relationships dynamics in the organization, but eventually that can improve the well-being of that entire workplace. So enhancing, fostering positive cooperative relationships, and at the same time they can promote collective well-being. So my definition would be, beyond mindfulness, which is also considered as a very individual practice, if we try to put that thing towards leadership, it just lands up for me as a very interpersonal mindfulness. So yeah.
Awesome. So you talked about self-awareness, which is, I think, a very important component of this. That's an area where a lot of people have difficulty in, achieving that self-awareness. What's your advice to people in terms of where do you start? Like, how do you start to become self-aware, and what's the best practice to do something like that?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. I think, Rob, I'll just give you a quick analogy. I just, figured this thing myself when I started with my mindfulness journey. It's basically, detectives, right? They're always solving these crimes. And
Yes.
I think when we talk about, mindfulness, it's just nothing but being your own personal detective, where you're solving the mystery of your mind. And when you do that, you automatically start, really living, and you come out of that autopilot mode, and you start acknowledging every simplest thing that you do in your daily life. And that could be, waking up and enjoying the morning coffee, the smell of the coffee, or you could just, watch out a bird out of your window mindfully. So that could lead to a mindful observation. So I think to me, awareness is very much really living in the moment, be totally in your sense, and having the kind of acceptance that the good, the bad, and the ugly, whatever is happening in life, be it on our highs or on our lows, everything is just a part of the journey.
Awesome. So with that said, can you share some of the mindfulness practices that can be integrated into the daily leadership's role? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of practices out there. So before that, I would just quickly highlight a few more benefits before I jump into the practice,
Sure.
because eventually it would just make more sense to not just say you have to just, count your breath, focus on your meditation and journaling. I think why the leaders should deep dive into mindfulness, because at the end of the day, it helps them improve their decision-making power. With
Hmm.
that, what I mean is when you practice this mindfulness, when you cultivate that in your daily life, you're better equipped to make clear and thoughtful decisions, not just by getting swayed by any, impulsive reactions. That is very much crucial right now. I think at the same time, it kind of helped the leaders to develop a greater self-awareness, just now what I talked about, which is very crucial, I think, for understanding and managing their own emotions, and at the same time while interacting with others and considering those of their team members as well. So that's really very important. Again, goes without saying that always helps for a better stressful environment. Managing the stresses and anxiety comes in with everyday jobs and all this pressure of performance and all this stuff. At the same time, it also allows you to focus single-handedly. So we talk a lot about multitasking, right?
Mhm.
I was a big champion of it till I discovered the fact that how wrong I was doing it. Because at this point of time, if you ask me, I think multitasking is a bullshit. I'm so sorry. Because, I love the fact that, you just need to do one task at a time. And if you're
Mhm.
multitasking, you're not basically focusing on either of the things. So you can't achieve, the kind of the productivity that you're expecting from a particular task at hand. I think single-handed task management has a lot to do with you could spend 1 hour doing that particular task with much more deep focus rather than spending hours sitting on a chair doing the same thing simultaneously with multitasking in the hand. That just leads to very less outcomes, or I would say not that better outcomes when you do it single-handedly. So I think that maintaining a better focus and concentrations are also very great benefits for the mindful leaders. At the same time, I think it allows them to have develop a stronger relationship with their peers. I think that is another most important thing, because at the end of the day, it's not all about business, it's about the human relationship, that I believe. Because like I always talk about kindness, and I keep saying that no one will remember what you do or what you say, but people will always remember how you make them feel
That's
about
right.
them. So I think that's the true quality of a leader, who is there to just serve people and empower them in every angle they can. And there's nothing better way to do that when a leader is so centered and grounded in his own emotions and in his power, that he becomes a mindful leader at the same time. So I think now I'll just go for the practices that can help them. Well, I believe that breath is a wonderful tool, and we all are breathing. I think I would not overwhelm a lot out there for anyone, the beginners who just want to get started. So I would say that use that particular breath as a tool work,
Mhm.
and inhale your all sorts of positivity and everything, the positive affirmations that I want to bring in, and you want the abundance to flow in your life. And at the same time, you could exhale all the tension and the worries out of your life. And the best part is of the breath is you can always start all over again. So, just keep working at it. Even it doesn't matter if you just observe that there are too many thoughts coming in between and you're losing the track of focus. I think non-judgment is a very crucial factor in mindful practice, that you shouldn't judge anything. Be kind with yourself. The
Mhm.
compassion for others will come only if you're compassionate with yourself. The self-compassion is too important. And at the same time, when you're dealing with yourself with so much care, you're allowing yourself to be in that zone where you could be still without judging anything, any kind of thoughts, and you just let it pass. And you bring back your focus again on the breath, like the count, or how the kind of sensation that you feel in your body. I think that's a very good start. I wouldn't advise to go for those long hours of meditation if you are not a very person who can fix yourself at one place for some long time. So I would say you could just walk, or you could carry out your any regular activities throughout your day, be it on your gym, or if you love to work in a park, just try to do that mindfully. When you're doing a one task, just be present in that moment. Even if something crops up in your mind about the next day work or the meeting or some sort of promise that you did with someone, let it come, let it go. You be there and try to bring back your attention again and again. The thing is, it's not about giving those handful practices and tips. It's not a one step journey. I think it's a lifelong self discovery. It's something that you have to cultivate every single day. And you start again like the breath work all over again. So it's the like a journey, it's a practice. We just, every day is a new day. So keep working at it, and yeah, that's how you will enjoy it.
Amazing. You touched upon a few key items. So you talked about multitasking, which I totally agree with you. I think in our environment today, we've got so much on our plate that
Uh-huh.
people have no option but to start multitasking. But that's where the quality deteriorates because people, like you said, don't have that focus on the one thing, and it's spread over,
Yes.
a few things, and guess what? The quality is going to deteriorate, obviously. And you talked about the influence or the impact of mindfulness on decision making. What are your thoughts on it in terms of people that have to deal with conflict resolution in a work environment, and they're in a high pressure environment. Do you think it also impacts or influences on conflict management when you're in a stressful situation and you do have to practice these, mindfulness
Yeah. Yeah.
techniques?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was into sales and it was always a very number game. And I luckily had amazing managers. I wouldn't call them manager, they were amazing leaders. And yes, I myself witnessed those kind of pressured atmosphere, where there's a lot of, pressure on your department for the performance and things like that, which comes in every week or every month with your goal setting and things like that. Back then, I wasn't so much into mindfulness. My journey started a couple of years ago. But now looking back, I think I would just bring one quality that I had back then, that is not rooted in mindfulness directly, but it has to do a lot with your self-reflection. That was something I was always practicing throughout my professional career. Self-reflection is something that I adore about the fact that, collecting feedback. I think sales really helped me become a better person, because I was always collecting feedback. And I'm not talking about the criticism and, the criticized feedback, because feedback should be constructive. They are something to help you improve in your daily activities or in your skills that you're doing. I think self-reflection helped me a lot. So when I faced certain areas, not in direct environment where I was in, one-on-one with someone or confliction, I would never step myself into that zone. But I have been in an environment where there were, other people who were in that zone, and I was quite observing. And then as a part of the team, I had to handle that. So I think what I did based out of that self-reflection was took one step back, and I really asked myself that, is it necessary? Is it important? So you have to, do this hard conversation with yourself. Very important. It's not just all about, journaling or, doing gratitude. At the same time, you have to ask yourself, sit down with yourself and ask those questions and get your answers from within. I think there's no book out there which can help you figure out all the questions that you have in your mind
That's right.
except yourself. And when you do that hard talk, when you sit down with yourself, you will just find out that, like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's all part of the process. So it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's very important also to keep in mind that it's not you, but it's the work, and it's the I think it has nothing to do with you or what you say, but rather the emotions that we are humans after all, and we tend to get attached to it, and we try to react impulsively in that moment of anger. I think it's very important to reflect and take a step back and think from that angle. And another thing I would advise right now as a mindful practitioner, that count your blessings,
Mm,
have gratitude power. Wear gratitude like your glasses, that can help you see the beauty around the world.
yes.
It doesn't really matter where you come from, what you have, how much of a bad day you're facing or a bad traffic. You just need to be grateful. Once you do that, you fall into that zone, you will be a different person.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I get my clients to practice that. in the morning and at night before they go to bed. And it's made a huge difference in my life. So
Mhm.
thanks for sharing that. You talked about self-compassion, right? And I deal with clients, and I hear this from a lot of people that when they tell themselves that they're not good enough, or they have this, mindset of not being good enough, what is your advice to those people? And how do they, translate, or how did they transition into the self-compassion from being or thinking that they're not good enough?
I think that's a brilliant question. I think it has to do with a lot of, mindset. And
Hmm.
I agree that we are born with the mind, and our external circumstances or everything around us has a role in shaping our mindset. It can evolve, it can get better with time. Like I have been voicing a lot about growth mindset. So, like I said, if you think that you're not good enough, that's a very fixed mindset. You need to come out of that zone. You need to believe that you know there's a lot more out there, and how to do that is has to do with inculcate those small habits. So like I said, you have to have a habit, a discipline, where you can repeat every day. It's not easy. Like I said in the very beginning, it's not about, today I'm doing this and I have it forever. No, it's a new day. So it's just like every day you're practicing, you have to do the positive self-talk.
Yeah,
That is immensely helpful. Do the mirror talk, have that courage within yourself, have that self belief. And to do that, I think it's very important to, inculcate into the small habits. Um, and to do that as well, I think mindfulness plays a very good role in there in shaping that. Because normally we are so much surrounded with noises, right? So there's a lot of chaos. We see a lot of, reels and social media information out there. There's so much, and we tend to compare. We get into that comparison stuff that, oh, they're doing this. Am I good? So don't, I would just stop there and I would ask that do compare. It's a powerful tool to get better, but do it only with yourself. So this fear of missing out and all this Gen Z things, which is going on with the era of internet, gladly we didn't have to face as a millennial. We had a very healthy childhood. But now when I look back and I also interact with a lot of people and I can understand from where are they coming from, I think I would just advise them that, whatever you're observing, you don't have to absorb everything. Just again, let it pass you by the clouds. Don't judge it. Be still and be very much focused and centered on one thing. Find out your why.
yes.
Build your habits. Do positive self-talk. Surround yourself with people who are very positive about everything. Like-minded people are very important to hang out with. If you set up those healthy boundaries among yourself, put up yourself with a routine, I think that is going to help you having a better lifestyle and eventually improving your mindset.
Awesome. You talked about finding your why. So two questions around that for you is,
Okay. So I'm
how
just dropping all the
did-
nuggets.
that's right. So how did you find your why, and what is your why?
Like I said. So again, that's a brilliant question. I just got reminded about Simon Sinek's Find Your Why. But no, I will say that it's not easy. I used to think like um, you have to be passionate,
Hmm.
um, and you have to chase your passion. If you That was Sangeeta 10 years back, who was actually chasing her passion. She wanted to do business. She was in dentistry. She was chasing after things. Now it's a different Sangeeta 10 years later, and she is in this mindfulness zone. And she would not ask you to chase. She will say that you sit still, your passion will find you. Your
Mm,
quality will come to you. You don't have to run after it. You will figure it out. How? You have to trust your intuition. I might now sound too much spiritual, but at the end of the day, I think you don't have to chase so much after everything. Your whys will change every, maybe in 5 years, in 10 years. You might do something today because we are into this growth mindset. We are asking people to never grieve up or, celebrate your small wins. Maybe they're celebrating something and they find something passionate or a different calling and they go and do that. I can't vouch for the fact that, okay, I'm now into mindfulness. I found my why, Rob, and this is what my mission is right now. I can't vouch for the fact because I don't know if down the line my why gets shifted from mindfulness to something else. So I would always say that that's the beauty of change. And change is constant. No matter what you do in life, change is inevitable. And you have to have a curious, open, and flexible mindset where you are just always adapting to that constant change. We didn't see the AI coming up. We didn't see so much with the digital transformation back when we were in kids in the school. So a lot of things changed, and our passions, our whys are changing. Tomorrow, I don't know, I might want to indulge myself as a YouTuber when some things were gonna come up, and we can just, maybe I will start my own podcast. I don't know. I mean, there's so many options right
That's
now.
right.
So you're always in a constant move. You want to do so much with just one intention, and that I think goes very well with your purpose. It's not why, but it's a very grounded purpose. There should be a intention, and that intention is everything. If I intend to go out there and spread the knowledge that help me find my calm in the chaos, that's an intention, and I would like to use that intention to spread the message. How? Could be in 10 different ways through different platforms. So I can't fix myself, put down myself in a particular box and saying that, well, this is my why I'm doing this. No, tomorrow I can change. Maybe AI will come up with something new, cool technology I will do in that particular platform. I might call something else. So yeah, that just gets always adapted to the next level. It's very silly to say that I figured it out all and this is what I'm going to do. No, that's wrong. You will always evolve with time.
Interesting. No, I couldn't agree with you more. We're here to grow. We grow in, we grow in age, we grow in mental capacity. So I'm sure that like you said, you find your why in one stage and it could be different. So I love the fact that you talk about evolving and growing all the time. I wanted to shift now to leadership and mental health. And I wanted to discuss what your thoughts are on the relationship between leadership responsibilities and mental health.
There's a huge significance to this topic. I think in itself, both topics are very crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership as well as mental health. Mental health awareness are on the rise right now. We are seeing already a lot happening out there in the, out there with so many layoffs and so many chaos in the world. I think this is the time we are in now that we need more mindful leaders than ever. And mental awareness is the need of the hour. So it's very crucial to combine these two things together, keeping in mind that I can bridge this both, topic, the leadership and the mental health awareness or the well-being with a bridge, and my bridge would be mindfulness. So I would say that a mindful leader can help you lead and have a overall life that is full of well-being, be it your physical or your mental. So both is important. And I think it has to do with a lot of mindful practice as well. So like we already discussed earlier in leadership, how they can best practice on becoming a mindful leader and what are those benefits. So I think this is also one of the benefit that has to offer, that mindful leadership enhances the quality of mental health of the workplace, the collective well-being of everyone in the team. And that is really, really important. I think research is showing that it helped a lot in reducing the burnout.
Yeah.
Has been, a lot of improvement on that area. At the same time, it did help a lot in enhancing the emotional regulation So the resilience that comes with it, that you have the power to come back from a setback or what life throws you at your adversity, that is very, very important. And it teaches you to stay grounded and no matter what, keep pushing, but in a healthy way, not just kind of beating yourself up at it. So that is really, really crucial. So yeah, I would mind bridge that with mindfulness.
Awesome. No, I love that concept. Now, how can leaders support the mental health of their teams? Again, especially in high stressful industries. We see this all the time. Like you said, mental health is on the rise. I've seen a lot in the industries that I've worked in. And I think, again, that lack of leadership has a huge impact on it. So what's your advice in there?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. I think the first and foremost thing is leaders need to be more compassionate.
Hmm.
Like they're compassionate with themselves, they need to be compassionate with everyone around them. That's number one. I think the second part is trust. Trust is too important. You have to have trust, and you have to treat people not like machines, and you
Yes.
have to have that, you know, yeah, that human connection. I think emotional intelligence play a huge role in here. You need to understand that. At the end of the day, like I said, it's not everything about work. It's also about nurturing those relationships. So once you are in that zone and you are building the relationship on that front, that um, these are not my some bots with whom I can achieve the goals or the ladder that I have to do in order to meet my company's XYZ, goal plan for the year. But at the end of the day, you could just use a lot of kindness, and that will breed in itself abundance and kindness. Because if you value your people, if you cherish them, they're going to do more than you can expect out of them. So I think that is missing, and that's why a lot of people out there, they're not happy with what they're doing, and
Hmm.
they're always in the constant search of, the next thing. How much ever they try to cover it up with the fact that, oh, it's a good package or things like that, or it's a, better work-life balance and all sorts of, cliches. But at the end of the day, deep down, it's all about fulfillment. And if you have that one genuine organization, or you feel lucky to land up with that one leader who is setting those examples up there, who's building you up, empowering you, I think that's what you are always looking for. It's not about the, I know it's not fair enough to say that, because there are a lot of people out there who thinks that financial growth, or in terms of how you level up in your career ladder, is
Yeah.
a way of measuring the growth metrics. To me, it's not that. I apologize if I offend anyone who's hearing today, because for me, the real growth is much more than in terms of those numbers. Like I say, I've been working in sales, and I had a huge number game. I loved my job, not because I loved working on those numbers, but I love building those relationships. I had the highest case of referrals. And when those customers used to come back and tell me that they loved how I handled their, deal and everything, that gave me the most satisfaction, more than, getting those extra bonuses or those praises from my boss or team. It really doesn't matter. These are all accolades. What you will take at the end of the day when you go to bed is those genuine smile, and how people touch people, that has immense power than all these machines and metrics and Excel sheets, and you forget it. So I think that it's very important to work on that power, and at the same time, it's also had to do a lot with self actualization. I think as a leader, as any individuals, if you're realizing your potential, and if you pursue meaningful, activities to contribute your personal as well as professional fulfillment, then you could also care a lot about your team members. So it has to do with a lot of inner work, and it's not easy. Like I said, it's something that you have to keep working on to get better every day.
That's right. So you again, you touch upon compassion as a leader. So I'm going to ask you a challenging question, which I've asked many people. When it comes to leadership, we don't provide training prior to leadership. And, when we do provide training, it's, some of the fluffy stuff with leadership. How do you train young leaders empathy and compassion?
Mm, that's a brilliant question because, like you said, the young people, right? So there's already a generational gap out there. Yeah, this is a very brilliant question, and I think again, like I said, treating everyone equal and no matter what, having this set of mindset where you don't let your ego hit in,
Mhm.
thinking that you already have a greater experience and in terms of the young minds. So, I think those are blockers. For me, it's very important for a leader to understand that times are changing. And so what each and every mind present in a meeting room, let's say, has some unique perspective, right? So once you are open to different perspectives or new perspectives and willing to learn from everyone, is a great way to start. And at the same time, giving everyone that kind of platform to come up with that ideas that because in often many organization people are not welcomed in to share the ideas. They might be at a very junior level, but they can have brilliant ideas as well. So there should be that open culture practice that can help a lot of collaboration happening between the senior management and the freshers. So we shouldn't underestimate freshers always thinking that they're just new into the footstep of world and they're just learning. But at the same time, I think they can also come up with a very different idea because they are from a young generation. So they also have certain advantages over those people who are just inside the board meeting room or in the company shell, but not actually mingling with the generation. And there's a shift going on. So I think the beauty is when you just think that everyone, no matter of their position, power, has a lot of potential within themselves and a lot to offer, and you respect that and you respect yourself and you bring everyone on the team and brainstorm on that particular idea, I think beautiful and amazing stuff can create out of that bonding. And so you call it, so yeah, it has to do a lot of with, I think, the mindset, how a leader is willing to step into their leadership and carry it forward with the generations that are coming up right now.
That's right. So you talked about treating people equally, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know that.
And encouraging their potential as well, because
That's right.
everyone comes with a unique perspective. So you shouldn't overrule that just because of the fact of some years of experience attached to it or not.
Exactly. And that's where the diversity comes in, right? Now, you know, we all have our biases. How do we remove those biases and be able to treat people equally? So I think that's where some people do struggle, is because they've got the biases, embedded in their mind. How do people get rid of that?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I think it has to do again with that fixed mindset. When you
Mhm.
are biased, you are actually in the fixed mindset.
Yes.
You're not in the zone of growth mindset. And I just got reminded of that story of that turtle and the rabbit who won the race. We all read it when we were kids. So it's a perfect example of having a growth mindset and having a fixed mindset. So the rabbit was so overconfident, boastful about his genetic buildup, and was in a fixed mindset. And on the same side, the turtle with his kind of growth mindset attitude that no matter what, I'm going to give my best and we'll see to it and makes it at the end. So I think that bias thing is also a factor which can stop you from growing. So if you could see it from that angle, and I know it can be very challenging to, change mindset overnight. It's not possible because it is what it is. But at the same time, if we are willing to work on it, if we, first of all, we need to sit down and acknowledge that we have that fixed mindset.
Yes.
We have it, and now we want to improve it. So that is the first start. Acknowledging is the first thing. There's a lot of shame attached to it. People don't want to acknowledge that, it's okay to make mistakes, or it's okay to learn from it, to grow from it. I think that generational shame, or how it, call it, that has to do a lot with this fixed mindset holders, that they don't want to evolve and tap into the growth mindset zone. It's not easy because a lot of things are involved in shaping your mindset. So if you are in that zone and if you have those biases, well, I think it's important for, like, if you talk in terms of an organization, then I think the hierarchy, or the kind of the senior management who are there, they need to acknowledge, and need to see how it can get improved for the betterment of everyone, because it's, at the end of the day, it's the collective well-being of the organization and not about one particular person who is biased. So it's really important to take a look at that way. And last but not the least is, practicing every day like a habit, and cultivating
Mhm.
and creating your, like, expose yourself to small things. You don't have to start large. You just have to start. Start now. Just get started with small changes, acknowledging that, yes, you are a human as well, and you have the privilege to make mistakes. It's not fatal. Life is not going to stop. So move on. I think it's very important also to get out of your head, because most of the time people are so much into their head, it's very difficult for them to think outside of that particular zone. So yeah, if they start practicing the small daily habits of trying to know how to remain open and flexible, I think that can help them to get rid of their biases. And I'm sure that there are, a lot of practices right now going on with mindfulness as well. So there are a lot of meditation and groundwork techniques,
That's
which
right.
you can also incorporate in your daily lives to kind of, have a better way of thinking and get more clarity and live with an intention, joy, and purpose.
Exactly. No, I think you nailed it in terms of that self-reflection and self-awareness is the key to, it's a starting point, right? Because you have to kind of admit to yourself that you've got an issue. What is that issue? How do you deal with it as the next step? So
Yes.
that's fantastic. Now, I want to talk about a little bit of the future aspect. So what trends do you foresee in the adoption of mindfulness practices in the workplace in the next decade?
Oh, that's a great question. I I will start with one particular thing that I tend to notice right now. And I think this is going to get more expansive in the upcoming days, which is the workplace mindfulness. I think a lot of companies are there out there who are incorporating a lot of time to integrate mindfulness practice into their corporate programs. So I think that's going to be a great beneficial practice for the employees' wellness initiative.
Mhm.
uh, the next thing would be, like, we discussed so much about mindfulness leadership, right? Now, I just have this idea that we could do a lot of mindful leadership training. How about that?
Yes.
I think this is going to be the game changer, and this has immense scope in the future. I think mindfulness will become a core component in here of leadership, where in such development programs, we could just emphasize more mindful decision making, come out of their biases, have this more, nurture the emotional intelligence more, because EQ is the new IQ, and how to deal with the stress management. I think this is a very good zone where things can get amped up. I think also, in the education sector, mindfulness has a great scope. I think with schools and colleges, it's just not about leadership. I think you can just apply to every moment of your life. And if you could just apply in every moment of your life, you could just come out with different sector. I could go on and on with education, healthcare, you name it. That I think, again, we are living already in an era of AI. So I have a feeling that mindfulness and AI will bring a lot of personalized approach where maybe we will have AI-driven virtual companions who can guide us. I don't know.
It's
That's
already out
just,
there.
yeah. Huh?
It's already there. It's available now.
Yeah, it's already there. But I think I don't feel threatened by AI. I think it's a powerful tool which can just help us, amp up our game
Yeah,
and make it reachable to a broader network faster. But at the same time, the human factor, the human emotion, this is there to stay. I think the AI cannot imitate that. And yeah, and I think the kind of holistic wellness, how to say, like integrating your wellness practice into a holistic approach where you could just, there's a lot of yoga and tai chi and a lot of meditation, health therapies are going on, creating this comprehensive program. So I think the future will also amp up in those areas where they could just have the proper mind body connection. I think that's also very important. And last but not the least, I think in the healthcare sector, I'm not sure if I touch base on this. I think that mindfulness, because I'm already seeing a lot of improvements with some of my clients, that they are having a lot of therapies which are based on mindfulness to treat those anxiety and depression conditions. So it's something that, preventive healthcare will have a huge, role in here to play,
yeah,
and that can reduce a lot of chronic diseases in the upcoming way. So it's such a great way of life, and I think we all should just enhance its superpower qualities.
that's right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So we've come to the end of our episode, but before we end, we've reached the segment where I like to call rapid fire questions. I'll ask you
Ooh.
a series of questions.
Do I get the hamper?
Yeah. Just, you say whatever that comes to mind first. So if you're ready to start, we can start there.
Okay, I'm
Right.
ready. Shoot
Excellent.
me.
What is your advice to young professionals who want to get into entrepreneurship?
Keep making mistakes,
Mm,
one after the other.
awesome. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Be you.
Amazing. I love it. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned on your journey so far?
Wow, that got me thinking. Biggest lesson that I learned on my journey so far. You are you are powerful, and you are capable of doing much more than you can think of.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, what is the one word that describes Dr. Sangeeta best?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So, what is the one word that describes Dr. Sangeeta best?
I'm not the best. I don't want to call again myself. I'm just a work in progress that I keep saying, everyone. That's the
What
best
is
way to put it.
what is the one word that
One
describes?
word to
Yeah,
describe it, fierce.
that's the
No,
self-reflection.
can I change it? Can I change it?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Can I change it? Oh, wish you had me two words. Fierce is something that just described me perfectly, but at the same time, I couldn't let go of the word driven. Oh, that's my favorite word.
Okay, awesome. And where can people find you?
Oh, I'm there on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, and I would be very happy to share all those links on the podcast below in the comments. So feel free to check out the Be Powerful page on YouTube and LinkedIn and join the community of 9,000. And yeah, I hope that helps you a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for being with me today and sharing, your inspiring stories, your experience, your knowledge. And for all those out there, if you've got any questions for Dr. Sangeeta, drop it in the box below and I'll make sure that she gets it, or you know how to reach her directly now. And again, thank you so much. Thank you all those out there listening in today on today's podcast. and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, Rob. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.